Now, I want to just express an observation of mine. Besides the fact that the front table here has sanitizer, and they've been sanitizing like mad since the presentation began. But, you know, imagine this conversation taking place if this was, what was it, 1917 or so, early 1900s, when the Spanish flu killed a third of the world. Imagine how many people would be at that microphone asking about their own, you know, I've got this, I got children, I've got parents, what do I do, right? That's what we do. We first think about ourselves, and that's obvious. I wrote a note to myself, check my diphtheria 10-year thing, call Len after the conference, right? So I have a little note. Now, in additionally, though, as professionals in MGs, as they're known from the World Health Organization, mass gatherings, we have to start asking ourselves, let's say that you're in charge of a meeting, and I want to get Len's opinion on this. So you're in Barcelona, you've got 5,000 people at your meeting. Suddenly, 30% of them come down with the flu because you look at your 5,000 general session and there's only, you know, quick 30%, you know, there's a couple thousand left that aren't there, empty. And you find out they're up in the rooms, they're all the flu. The meeting's supposed to end tomorrow morning. Everybody's leaving. So what do you do? So Len, paint for us a picture, not of the current H1N1 virus, but some new H5, H9, H something else that was, you know, more difficult for our society. What that would mean to our world, paint that picture, that modeling, which I know you do, and then put us into that scenario at that meeting. While I understand you're not an expert in our business what to do, and you haven't developed guidelines for this, paint a picture as to our challenges.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It's an important topic to discuss, and it doesn't have to be H this, H that. It could be something else. 7 years ago, we had SARS, causing potential for an epidemic around the world. So it's a complicated issue, and there's no answer. I've looked into this a bit in preparing for today's presentation, just to update myself. And what I found is that there are no guidelines that exist for that exact type of question. There are guidelines for mass gatherings that the World Health Organization has published, but they deal with planning around all sorts of issues and not necessarily this exact topic. I'd recommend the following: a proactive dialogue with your clients about scenarios. What pieces of information, what processes do the companies and the clients that you're working with, what do they have in place through their employee health programs and their recommendations if there was a mass disruption in the economy and society? What would they recommend you do? In addition, look at your own company's plans for how you deal with your own employees and these sort of situations. If it was the situation in Barcelona, you would also need to be speaking with the public health service in Barcelona. What are they recommending? Will they allow people out of the hotel, out of the country? How will they allow transportation and movement of individuals? Your hands might be tied. You might be told what to do. I remember reading this past summer about mostly high school students who are on exchange programs over the summer in China, where individuals were quarantined in hotels in China and couldn't leave for upwards of 10, if not longer, days until fever had gone away, if they had a febrile illness. When I came through the airport yesterday in Cape Town, I had to stop before the customs official and look in a camera, which apparently was taking a visual of my temperature. And had I had a fever, they probably would not have let me into the country. So what I'm saying is that some of these decisions might be taken out of our hands, and we might be told what it is that we're going to do, but we should have alternative and planning as best as we can. And there I would recommend speak with your clients and come up with plans in advance should these things happen. And I think part of that, and something you can have control over, is some of the communication issues, alternatives for cell phones, IT connections, how will information be connected, who are the travel departments that you'll be working with. So all we can do is plan. And I think things would be worse if we don't plan, but we probably can't plan for everything. And I think this is an important time for all of us, especially people in your line of work, to engage with your clients and start talking about these questions and see what you can do, because I think you're on the cutting edge of this. There really is very little out there on what to do in that situation. And if anybody in the audience has any thoughts on this topic, I'm happy to open that dialogue.
So We do have time for one more question, if there is another question. I mean, we could go on all day about this. This whole conference could just be about our industry and developing guidelines. Any other questions? Okay. So we are right on schedule. What I'd like to do is thank Dr. Friedland. Len, thank you very much. And Len, we're going to say goodbye to you.